On this digital clip, we're going to discuss another modelling excellence tool, IQs. All behaviours start with thinking. The next challenge is to understand what are the thoughts that create the behaviour. When human beings are asked a question and they look up to their right and they say to themselves, let me see now, they're normally creating inside their head a vision or a picture of what they want to see. And this gives us a clue that they're creating pictures as the first step in their behavioural strategy. Then when they look down to their left, they might be saying to themselves, have I got that right? Yes or no? And then they may look to their left or to their right ear and say, how does that sound? And this gives us a really interesting insight into the structure and strategy of their thinking to create a behaviour. The eyes are not windows to the soul, they're windows to our mind. Because when we think at a deep subconscious level, IQs tell us not what is being thought, but how the person is thinking. A lot of people believe you can tell if somebody is lying by watching the direction their eyes move. This is not necessarily the case. It may give us a clue as to whether they're making up pictures and sounds, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're lying. So let's start with how the eyes move when you're thinking a simple thought. So when somebody looks up and to their left, this is called visual recall. They're recalling an image that they've already seen. When people look up and to their right, they're creating images inside their head about a new and improved future. They're imagining what the future could look like. When people look horizontally and to their left, they're hearing sounds they've already heard. They're hearing the words they've already heard, the music they've already heard. When people look horizontally to their right, they're imagining the words or the sounds they're going to hear in the future. When people look down and to their left, they're doing what's called auditory internal dialogue. It's a simple internal yes or no. Have I got this right? When they look down and to their right, they're often creating feelings and emotions, and that's the home of our kinesthetics. IQs give us a really good clue about how the person is thinking. Earlier in the program, we looked at representational systems. The way people represent the world to themselves is described in their physiology, the way they move and breathe, in their words, which we call predicates, the words that predictate the thinking system they use, and now we're adding to that IQs. So if we add physiology, the words we use, the predicates, and IQs together, that gives us a bulletproof way of examining the way somebody thinks to create a behaviour. So if we're thinking about using IQs as a modelling tool, the first thing we need to consider is doing a reference check, making sure that they are normally organised, which normally means they're right-handed, or reverse organised, which normally means they're left-handed. 80% of the people you meet will be what's called normally organised and right-handed. In other words, when they look up and to the right, they're doing visual construct, and when they look up and to the left, they're doing visual recall. The simple reference test we can do to check the way somebody thinks is ask them a question which is very environmentally biased and historically irrelevant. Ask them what was the colour of their carpet when they were growing up. If they're normally organised, they'll look to the left and up to find a picture of the carpet. That's a great reference check for whether they're left or right-handed, reversed or normally organised. Now, if they are reverse organised, all the strategies are completely reversed. So recall is then to the right for them and construct is then to the left. IQs can also give us a clue, particularly auditory ones, of significant emotional events in the past. So if you sit down with somebody and you talk about the fact that they're not a very good public speaker and you ask them to remember a time when they weren't good at public speaking, you will notice that as their eyes drift towards their left, they will stop once maybe, and then twice, and then 3 times. The 3 significant moments will be given away by the pausing of the eyes as they go back through time to remember that event. If somebody has a significant trauma in the past that they have not yet dealt with, the subconscious mind often shuts down the part of the sensory systems responsible for the old and uncomfortable memories, so they may never think in pictures. They will only ever talk about the world in sounds and words and decisions and emotions, because pictures contain a scary place that they haven't been for a long time. This is interesting for us to notice as a coach, because firstly, they are thinking limited, and secondly, the unresolved negative emotions may come back out at some point, and we need to be aware of that. The final part about IQs is that they are a two-way mirror. When we look at somebody and we see the way their eyes move, that tells us how they're thinking. We can also use it in reverse. By moving the eyes in a specific direction, we can often encourage the person to use a different part of the mind for coming up with the solutions to their problems. So if you come across somebody who's stuck in a particular situation and keeps looking down and to their right, and they feel bad about the situation they're currently in, getting them to look up and to their right and creating a picture of what the future might look like, that will help them become unstuck and maybe see a new and improved future. So IQs can be used as a standalone tool for building rapport, or a problem-solving tool to help somebody find different solutions than they would normally see, hear, or feel. This is just a few of the possible uses of IQs as a tool.